The phone's glow sliced through the dark, a cold blade of light that carved my sleep in two. It was 4:03 a.m., and the notification buzzed like a wasp trapped in my skull. My wife's name, Lila, blinked on the screen, her text a gut punch. "Relax, I'll explain." My heart lurched, a sick thud against my ribs. Explain what? The bed beside me was empty, the sheets cool as betrayal. I stared at the words, each letter a splinter under my skin, and then the doorbell shrieked. A sound so raw it felt like the house itself was screaming. I stumbled downstairs, bare feet slapping against the hardwood, the air thick with the stale musk of last night's wine. The living room was a shadowland, furniture looming like silent witnesses. My pulse hammered as I reached the door, fingers trembling on the knob. Lila stood there, her face a ruin of mascara and tears, her coat misbuttoned, her hair a tangled confession. "Mark," she choked. "I didn't mean for this." Her voice cracked, raw and desperate, and I felt the world tilt, a sickening slide into something I couldn't name. "What's happening?" My words came out jagged like broken glass. She pushed past me, her perfume, a sharp floral sting, mixing with something unfamiliar, something masculine. My stomach twisted. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing into her hands, and I stood frozen, caught between wanting to hold her and wanting to scream. The text burned in my mind. "Relax, I'll explain." Explain what? The late nights at the office? The sudden phone call she'd taken in the other room, her voice low and guarded? The way her laugh had started to sound like it belonged to someone else? "Mark, please just listen," she said, her eyes pleading, wide and glassy like a deer caught in headlights. I wanted to believe her, wanted to cling to the Lila I'd married, the one who'd dance with me in the kitchen barefoot to old jazz records. But her hands were shaking, and there was a bruise on her wrist, faint but unmistakable, shaped like someone else's grip. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered, and the words landed like a slap. "Then why are you crying?" I asked, my voice low, dangerous. I could hear the clock in the hall, its ticks like a countdown to something I didn't want to face. She wiped her face, smearing mascara across her cheek, and took a shuddering breath. It's not what you think," she said, but her eyes darted away, and I knew she was lying. I'd always known when she lied. Her left eyebrow twitched, just a flicker, like a tell in a poker game. It was twitching now. The air felt heavy, suffocating, like the moment before a storm breaks. I sat across from her, the coffee table a chasm between us. "Tell me," I said, and it wasn't a request. She hugged herself, her fingers digging into her arms, and started talking, her words tumbling out like spilled coins. She'd been working late, she said, with her boss, Ethan. Ethan, with his polished suits and easy charm, who'd always lingered too long at company parties, his hand brushing hers when he passed her a drink. "It was just drinks," she said, "to celebrate the project. That's all it was supposed to be." But her voice faltered, and I saw it, the truth clawing its way out. The late-night texts she'd dismissed as work. The way she'd started wearing that red lipstick, the one she'd never liked before. The receipt I'd found in her purse for a hotel bar I'd never heard of. Each memory was a pinprick, sharp and cumulative, building a picture I'd refused to see. "Lila," I said, my voice barely a whisper, "did you sleep with him?" Her silence was louder than any confession. She looked at me, her eyes brimming with guilt and something worse, relief. Like she'd been carrying a stone in her chest and finally let it drop. "It was a mistake," she said, her voice breaking. "It happened once, Mark. Just once. I swear." But the word once was a blade, slicing through 10 years of marriage, through every promise we'd made under that oak tree in her parents' backyard. I stood, my legs unsteady, and paced the room. The walls seemed closer, the air thinner. I wanted to rage, to throw something, to shatter the quiet with my hurt. But all I could do was stare at the woman I loved, her face a map of regret, and feel my heart fracture. "Why?" I asked, and it was the only question that mattered. "Why him? Why now? Why us?" She stood, reaching for me, but I flinched and her hand fell. "I was lonely," she said, her voice small. "You were always working, always gone." And he listened. He saw me. Her words were a mirror, reflecting my own failures. The late nights I'd spent at the firm, chasing a promotion. The dinners I'd missed, the anniversaries I'd half remembered. Had I pushed her away? Was this my fault too? But then I saw the bruise again, that faint purple mark on her wrist, and something darker stirred in me. Did he hurt you? I asked, my voice tight. Her eyes widened and she tugged her sleeve down, a reflex that told me everything. No, she said too quickly. It was an accident. I pulled away and he grabbed me. He didn't mean it. But her voice trembled and I saw the fear flicker across her face, a shadow of something she wasn't saying. The room spun, a kaleidoscope of doubt and fury. Was she protecting him? Or herself? I wanted to believe her, wanted to rebuild the trust we'd lost. But the bruise was a neon sign screaming truth she wouldn't speak. Lila, I said, stepping closer, my voice low and steady. What aren't you telling me? Her lips parted, but no words came. The doorbell rang again, a sharp, insistent chime that made us both jump. My heart stopped. I crossed to the window, pulling back the curtain. Ethan stood on the porch, his face pale, his tie loose, his eyes wild with something I couldn't read. Panic, maybe, or desperation. Lila gasped behind me, a sound like a trapped animal, and I turned to her, my voice cold. Why is he here? She shook her head, tears spilling over. I don't know, she whispered. I told him it was over. I told him I was coming home to you. But her voice cracked and I saw it. The lie, the half-truth, the thing she was still hiding. I opened the door and Ethan's eyes met mine, raw with guilt and defiance. Mark, he said, his voice hoarse, we need to talk. The air was electric, charged with the weight of secrets about to break. Lila's sob echoed behind me, and I realized this was only the beginning. Whatever Ethan was about to say, whatever truth was clawing its way to the surface, it would shatter us all. And as I stood there, caught between the woman I loved and the man who'd stolen her, I felt the ground give way, plunging me into a truth I wasn't ready to face.